Hi, Danielle.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey, everybody out there. I'm Sarah Ayler from softluxcompany.com, and I've got the most talented designer around, Danielle Wicks, with me today. And Danielle, you work for John Bead now, right?
I do, yeah.
Can see that little logo there at the bottom of her screen. John
Yes.
is a fantastic distributor, a wholesale distributor in Canada, and they are a distributor of Softluxe beading wire, but all sorts of other things too, including the beads that we're going to be using today for our project. And then, I've been to their warehouse. I don't know how many square feet it is, but it's gigantic. And it's plumb full of beading supplies. So you can also find like Preciosa and what other brands does John Bead carry, Danielle?
Miyuki as well.
Oh
The sea
yeah.
beads. Yeah. I love the sea beads.
Yeah, lots
Gosh,
of stuff. They're located up in Toronto, Canada, but they sell into the US on a pretty regular basis. And we just love them. You can see it says established in 1954. It is, I think it's on its third generation of ownership.
That's right, yeah.
At this point. So they've just been around a long time. They're one of the best in the business. And of course they snapped up Danielle because she is such a talented designer.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you for posting that link for us, Thomas. So where are you located again, Danielle, for those who are new to you?
I'm in Seattle, Washington.
And you're telecommuting with John Bead?
Yep, I work remote.
And what is your position with them?
Creative director.
Oh, and are you still doing the Michaels classes?
Yeah, every Friday. We have one coming up this Friday as well.
How do you keep up with it all? I don't know.
Well, you know, because you do a live weekly too. You got to keep coming up with the ideas, right?
Yeah, I imagine though doing a live weekly with Michaels is a lot more complicated than just hopping on StreamYard and doing a live here for Softluxe. So you probably have to really plan ahead to get all those projects ready and.
Oh yeah, that's true. They do want them a couple months in advance, but it kind of forces me to do the work and document it so I don't forget what I did. So
that is good.
It works for the type of brain that I am. It kind of works for me. But yeah.
Do you have to like write out the instructions too, or do you just teach it virtually?
I always do instructions. It's just the nature of seed beading. It's not a requirement, but teaching a thread path without an illustrated visual is harder than doing the illustrated visual. So I opt for the latter.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys, for years and years, I've been asked, can you peyote stitch with Softluxe or soft touch beading wire? And for the last 23 odd years I've worked for Softluxe, I have said no. Because the way Softluxe works is it tends to sort of sponge out, for lack of a better word, and it doesn't always sort of tightly weave together. Well, then Danielle came along and she said, Sarah, I think I can peyote stitch with soft touch beading wire. And I said, okay, I'll send you some soft touch. Let's see what happens. And then she sent back this fantastic bracelet that is peyote stitch. And I am just finding it completely unbelievable. So it is going to look a little bit different than your typical peyote stitch because it's on a beading wire. It isn't on a thread, but think about how long that is going to naturally be preserved on a beading wire rather than a thread, which over time, does wear out and break down and eventually snap. Whereas Soft Touch 010 is 7 strands of stainless steel braided together with a protective nylon coating. So it's really going to last a long time. So I just think this is pretty amazing. Jennifer's saying, and no threading a needle. Yeah, no needle needed, I assume, right, Danielle?
Nope. No, you don't need one. It's like, I thought about trying it. I'm still kind of teasing out the technique, but I did these without one.
Yeah, because the beading wire, the very fine is a little bit wobbly. I mean, it's very thin, but it's still kind of like a needle itself. So you don't necessarily need a needle. You could probably use a big eye needle if you really wanted
That was
to.
the thought I had, but I never actually tried it. My thought was that it folded over would be, trying to pull that through might be easier just to do it just with just the wire.
Just keep the wire. I think so too. And one thing I've seen some people do, like with Stretch Magic, that may work in this case too, is you could even dip it in like a clear nail polish if you want it to harden even further. And so it's more like a shoelace kind of, but I don't even think that's necessary. I really think the wire itself will go right through really well. I'm seeing a lot of yay, no needle. I love that. Let's see. Oh, Wanda says that Danielle's PDFs are legendary.
Oh, thanks, Wanda. I love Wanda.
I think Danielle did one for this particular project. And so we will be posting it on our Softflix Company blog. Probably next Monday is when that blog will go up, or Monday or Tuesday, depending on how the week plays out. So you can look for it there. Jennifer also concurs. She says Danielle has the best handouts. You're doing something right, Danielle, obviously.
Jennifer has awesome videos. She has a YouTube channel. I love her videos.
Very cool. Jennifer, put your link up to your YouTube channel. We would love to see it. Okay, so we're going to get started. What size seed bead do you have there, Danielle?
So I have two things going on here. My first idea was to use the check roller beads. And that's what these are here, both of them. They come in 3 different sizes. I'm working with the smallest one, which is the 4.5 millimeter. So this is a pretty big bead, right? Which means this works up really fast. So nice. But they do come in a larger size. Yeah, and then I had a couple requests for folks that I know these are hard to find. So there was, does it work with 6.0? Well, here's one I made with 6.0 seed beads. And this one came out really well. It is peyote stitch. And Sarah and I were talking before the class, like it looks like it's not, but for some reason when I did it with the rounds, it's stacked like this, but this is actually really it's really peyote stitch in there. It just stacked differently.
Kind of fun how it's interesting how the clear translucent beads seem to turn more.
Yes, they do. They're kind of like slanted a little bit.
Yeah, it makes it a really interesting pattern. I'm so fascinated by this.
And I tried something experimental here, and I can't recommend it just yet because I'm wear testing this one. I put a little Stretch Magic on the last link.
Oh.
You can see in here where my knot is kind of like loose in there.
Uh-huh.
So I can get it on and off.
What?
I don't know if this is going to work. See, it's either going to, I'm testing it. I'll post it. It's been a week and it hasn't broken.
Woohoo! That's awesome. What a smart idea. I love that. You could probably also come up with some other things that you could finish it off with, like a way to tie it.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. I'm sure there's some other options there too, besides just your traditional clasp.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And speaking of clasps, I noticed on your website that you had both the 2 and the 3 cones. So and what's in the PDF that is included is patterns that these ones, basically both of these patterns are in there with the colors that I've used called out by John Bead part number. And I designed them to fit these 2. So you'll have dimensions for both.
Yeah, and you can get that magnet clasp right at softflixcompany.com. It's a new clasp from TierraCast, and they are actually made for bead weaving. So this is the perfect kind of project that TierraCast made them for. We've been using them just for stringing projects, but this is really fun to see it in an actual bead weaving project.
It worked just perfectly. I was really impressed by how that came out. Hi,
Miss Kristen. How's your vacation, your working vacation, supposedly? your vacation going. I'm jealous. That's the only reason why I'm making fun.
That's so cool.
All right, we're going to get started with Danielle in a minute, but I have a couple things I want to show and tell while Danielle gets her stuff together there to show us what she is going to do. We added some new products today. We have Midsummer Market coming up. It starts on Friday night, you guys. I can hardly believe it. We're having preview night Friday night at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. What that means, if you've never been to a Great Bead Extravaganza, is it's the night where you can see what everyone's making. And it's a lot of fun. We go through the schedule so you guys know what to expect for the weekend, give tips and tricks for how to navigate a whole weekend of Great Bead Extravaganza online. And so I will be there at 5 p.m. You can find that on the Great Bead Extravaganza page and in the group. And then also I will post it to our page and group if you're looking for it. So we are doing an extra special free gift for the Great Bead Extravaganza. We did a Midsummer Market kit that was called Twilight Sky. And so we thought it was only fitting to put together a celestial gift that you can get when you place an order over $75 at softluxcompany.com. It includes some buttons, some charms, and some pendants from our friends at Tierra Cast in their Celestial line. It also includes some 2x2 Softlux crimp tubes in every single metal tone. So you can get this a limited supply available. I am telling you guys first so that you can get yours. Hopefully it doesn't sell out before the weekend's over, and get one now while it's still available. We also are adding a lot of items that will match the kit that I am opening on Saturday. It is a sold out kit, but we do have some of the bead mix. We have some strands that match. These are not strands in the kit. And then we have some other components from the kit that I won't show you yet that you can get. We added these really fun buttons. And if you look in the description of the buttons, we have a link to a blog we wrote about using buttons as clasps. And these all match the kit very beautifully. None of these are in the kit as well. This is just an additional option. We wanted to give you some fun things to think about. We added this great vintage moon pendant. It says Stay Wild on the back. Super cute. You can patina paint it. You can ultimate paint it if you want to. But very, very sweet. And then we added some of these little moon blinks in an antique silver plated and an antique brass plated. So you can grab those to go with your Twilight Sky kit as well. And then, of course, we have the trios. Now, the trios have a special discount. And I think that went up today. Maybe Kristen or Thomas can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think there is a discount on the trios as well. And I just can't remember what it is. So I've already been using these colors. It's going to be a really fun week, you guys. We're going to have a great time at Great Bead Extravaganza. I hope you'll join me. I will be there 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. Kristen may be a surprise guest. She's trying to figure out her working vacation schedule. But she may show up and help with comments and hang out and maybe make something as well. I was working on my project right before. Look at all these beads Danielle sent me, you guys. Can you believe that? This isn't even all of them. I was like, what? Now I definitely need to make something. I'm going to start getting my stuff out too, and I'm going to make along with you. Let me turn this back over to Miss Danielle Wicks. Oh, 20% off trios. Thank you. All trios. Whether you want the one I just showed you or you want a different one. And in fact, we even have a soft touch trio. Does it apply to the soft touch trio, or is it just the colors? Okay, go ahead, Danielle. It's all you.
All right. So what I'm doing here is I cut 90 inches or so of the beading wire, and that was enough for me to make this bracelet. It was more than enough to do the 2-column version. And I think 90 to 120 inches would be plenty. That's a lot of beading wire. So one way you can make that easier to work with is to start from the midpoint and build out from the center. And so that's what I did. And it also gave me the opportunity to kind of create a tension issue that was coming up with starting those first few rows. And so how that worked was I took and I cut that long length of strand, 90 to 120 inches, depending on your length. These are about 7 inches, both of them. And then I brought the ends together to find my midpoint. So my midpoint's over here. And I just put a bead on each strand. And then I brought both of those beads through another bead. Almost lost my strand there. Sorry about that. And so that's just starting that first row. And depending on which pattern you're working, if it's this is a 3-column, meaning each row we're going to add 1 bead. The other one I held up was a 2-column, which goes even faster. And it has just 2 beads per row. So depending on which one you're doing, you would repeat this either once more or twice more. So it's going to be like what Sarah called spongy. It's going to move around. So you have to kind of hold the first few rows that you do. But if it does help, you can pull your strands apart like that and tighten it. And then it'll give the wire a little memory and kind of help it stay in place. So I'm going to do that again with the next 2 beads. So again, that's 1 on each strand. I'm just kind of going crazy with the colors. I'm not really following a pattern at the moment. There's 1 on each strand. And then again, I want to bring both of those through. Pull that down. I might pull it apart again to tighten up. And so I'm getting a very familiar looking shape here, the peyote stitch start, right? For all the stitchers out there, you'll recognize that. And let's do one more. Let's do the 3-column. There's a bead on 1. And the other one. And 1 more. And just lining those up at the end there. Bring that down. Tighten it up. So there's our start. And again, this is the 3-column design. There's kind of like a natural slant to these that becomes very apparent after a few rows. But I just went with it. It's pretty, right? It looks like this. Let me show you this other one. You can see there's definitely like a curve to it. One side's facing a little to the left. This side's starting and facing that same direction. It's kind of parallel shifted. But it works when you clasp it. And so you'll notice that. So don't let that slow you down. If when you're making your stitches, you notice there's a little bit of a lean to it. All right. So then what I'm going to do is pick up 1 bead. And so you'll have, basically from here, you'll have 2 really long strands, 1 on each side. And each of those can be used to work the rows back and forth from here. So I'm going to work one side and then come back and work the other side.
So for me, who's never done this before, what part of the bracelet did you just do? So I know what color I want to do for my next row. Do you know what I mean?
So yeah, that makes sense.
Is that
that's kind of one of the reasons that I did a pattern that doesn't really have, it repeats itself. because I wasn't sure getting started what length I would end up at after I made all my rows. So I kind of just started with a blue, and then I just started building out here. And this is one of the patterns.
I would use the same color that I ended off with. That's the color I'm going to put on next. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And I can pull this out and work a different pattern. I was thinking it would make sense to see each one.
Looks good. I just want to make sure I'm understanding, and if I'm not understanding, someone else might not be. So
yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
I think I see now. So let me click over to mine real fast.
Yeah, let's take a look.
What I'm seeing is now when I pull this one on, am I going to go back through this red bead, and that's going to pull back to the turquoise?
Yeah, and this will make like a stripe pattern through the whole thing, so we can go without worrying about like the pattern as much.
I love that. Okay, now I totally get it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we're just going to go through so this is called the up bead. Each of the ones that's green and turquoise here. And my yellow beads at this row are my down beads. And I'm just kind of matching the colors just because I thought, we'll make some stripes. And it's going to be, loose a few times on both sides when we do these rows, but I'll show you what I do to kind of fix that. So pull this down. And before I pull it all the way through, I'm going to tighten that again. And maybe hold it a little and pull. Once you've got that done, it kind of locks things in place and they don't move around as much. And then it's just smooth sailing from there. So here's my next. I'll put that through.
This is so easy.
It's really easy, isn't it?
I thought this was going to be so much harder.
Oh, no. This is relaxing.
It's very relaxing. The big trend over in the Great Bead Extravaganza group for the month is seed bead weaving. Because we were talking a lot about how wild the world is right now, and how we're all kind of just trying to cope with everything that's been going on, and how wonderful and meditative seed bead weaving is, and just seed beading in general, even just stringing seed beads. And so that is the trend of the month. And so this is super fitting.
I need to tune in. That sounds like it might be right up my alley.
Yeah. Yep. Because there's a lot of folks over there that carry seed beads. We at Softflex don't. But we, of course, have this wonderful, very fine diameter soft touch, which can be used for projects like this.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm still surprised that I am doing peyote stitch with soft touch.
I think I thought you already had tried it for some reason when I first was looking. Maybe it was with
a lot of ladder stitch, because it just naturally goes in a circle really easily, but never anything like this. It amazes me after 23 years now? It's like 23 or 24 years with Softflex. I still try new things with the wire on a regular basis. Just like the knotting last year, Danielle.
That was fun. I enjoyed that.
I have that one of my bracelets on from that today, and that was also sort of mind-blowing, because I had told people for so long I didn't think you could knot between the beads and have it look so nice.
That's so cool. I remember you had that idea when we were doing the Beads of Courage event.
Yeah.
I was just using regular silk.
When I saw you knotting, I was like, oh, I could do that with Softflex.
Yep.
I had just never seen someone really knot between beads before, strangely enough.
Oh. That was kind of a serendipitous find. I mean, because it was just, I hadn't thought of that idea either. And it opened the whole mind spinning thing of like, oh my gosh, I can well, if that works, then what about this? And then you were doing Kumihimo, and I'm like, she's doing Kumihimo. That is the coolest thing ever.
And this is why I like to have live beading parties, because I feel like we can all learn so much from each other and inspire each other. And it's just a lot of fun.
So true.
Wow, I cannot believe how easy this is. I'm going to have like a whole bracelet in like no time.
It goes fast. I think I made the 2-column one probably in maybe an hour or so. And I was stopping and doing stuff in between there. And
good thing you sent me all these seed beads, because now I want to make one in every colorway.
It's so fun to do like a palette, to make like line them up and pick 3 colors that like match together. And
you know what I could probably do is like a rainbow, because everybody knows how Sarah loves a rainbow.
I did try to make sure I covered all of the chakra colors when I sent it.
Yeah, we're doing stripes, so you could probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could probably
a
rainbow. That would be fun.
That would be really cool.
So show us up close how it's looking now that you've gotten a few of your rows on. What do you guys think about this? Let's see. Rochelle says, literally just learned to do seed beading with peyote stitch this past week. So this is super exciting. Oh, Andrew Thornton, I love you. You inspire me too. There's Miss Kristen. I know, Janelda. I do learn something new every day. It is mind-blowing to me in jewelry making how many different roads you can travel down to make jewelry, to learn new things. Whether you decide you're going to start painting jewelry, or whether you decide you're going to start doing metalsmithing, or you want to be a rock hound and find gemstones and make them into beads or pendants. I mean, it's endless. It's a lifelong hobby that never gets boring. There's always something new to learn. Janelda, yes, Softflex can be used on a loom. And in fact, I've used it on a Murex loom many times. And we are going to have Murex looms with us at Customer Appreciation Week in just a couple months here in September. And they will have a project using Softflex beading wire or Soft Touch beading wire, which is the more flexible of our brands, on their beading loom.
Rochelle, I need to hear more about that.
Rochelle is asking, does this only work with the very fine wire and size 6 seed beads?
So I think having not tried it yet, but having the experience working this one, I think it'll work with 8-0 as well. Because I've got room in here, right? There's a lot of space. If you take a look at, this wasn't a tight fit at all. It worked really nicely, even when I did the weaving back in to kind of lock it. And then I was still able to get stretch magic in there. I used the smallest stretch magic I could find, but I was able to get that in there after that.
Yeah, and I think it's just important to remember, like in looking at Danielle's bracelet, that it isn't going to look like beading thread. It is going to turn out a little bit different and feel a little bit different because it is a wire underneath it. But that's a good thing. It's just another tool in your arsenal, another way of doing peyote stitch. Let's see. Stacy's saying, this is so beautiful. Great pattern. Thank you, Danielle.
Oh, thank you.
Robin's busy snacking and not cleaning her studio. Good. We like that. This weekend's going to be so much fun. If you've never been to a Great Bead Extravaganza, we have 14 hours of beading ahead of us, and each company will bring its own unique special project. It's going to be really great. And then we have Danielle on the schedule also for Customer Appreciation Week. So if you love this design, she will be back in September, if not sooner, with a design for Customer Appreciation Week too.
I'm so excited. It's going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. I know. Yeah. We've got 10 companies for Customer Appreciation Week, and they're all going to have a kit so you can make along. Kits go on sale, I think, in August. I want to say maybe like August 10th. And
yeah, that's the date I was working to.
Yeah, you can pick and choose which kits you want to make along with. And then some of them will even have kits after still for sale, or the parts and pieces. So it's going to be a pretty epic week in September as well. I just can't believe how easy this is. Look at how fast. Never done this before. And look at how fast I'm working that up. You can see the wire is white, and it just sort of settles inside there really nicely. This wire also comes in black or satin silver. So you've got 3 options. What color are you using, Danielle?
Currently I'm using the black, but on the original, I used the, what I thought was the white. Let's see, what's it called? It's white color. Yeah. That one looked really nice with the kind of clear neons.
It does. It's pretty.
It's kind of cool. But yeah, right now, just for visibility, I was using the black color, and that's also the color that I used in this one.
Ooh, that one's really pretty too. Look at those colors. So we were talking before, and one of the stores that we're pretty sure carries these beads is Bead FX. Are you guys familiar with Bead FX? They are up in Canada too, right, Danielle?
I think they're in British Columbia. I wasn't totally, I should have looked it up before coming on, but I've ordered from them a long time ago, and I think that's where it shipped from. Yeah. So they ship to the US, and beautiful stuff.
And they also have carried Softflex for years. I used to see the store owner on a regular basis in Tucson and at Bead and Button. So definitely, if you want some of these seed beads from John Bead in this size, that is an option for picking them up.
Yep, exactly. And if you like these colors and these patterns, those are going to be in that PDF that'll be on the blog. And I put the John Bead part numbers. I believe BeadFX will know what those are and be able to tell you which they are, if it's not already just in the description, which it might be.
Awesome. That is great. I don't know if they carry the white soft touch, but either way, that you can maybe get that from them too and just do it in one fell swoop. But I'm not sure. How fun is this?
It's really soothing, and it goes pretty quick. I do have that one ready to go, so anytime you want me to clasp it, I'm ready, but I'm just having fun stitching on. So anyway.
I know, just keep stitching away. So when did you start seed bead weaving?
Oh, that was, let's see. Okay, so I started making jewelry in 2007, but I was into metalsmithing stuff. So then I switched over to seed beading when my oldest son was about 1 year old or so. So he's 9 now, going on 10.
Oh.
So actually, in the grand scheme of things, not super long, right?
Yeah. What made you switch over?
It got really difficult to do the metalsmithing. You know, a couple changes in my life with the kids, and then also I moved. I used to have like a detached garage in the home I lived in before, and then I moved here, and it's all attached to the house. And then I had like, you know, oxygen tanks and stuff, and they're like, no, I don't think we should bring that in the garage. It's, you know, it's a small community and fire hazard. And then of course, you know, I realized I was going to have 2 boys and a garage with torches and caustics in there, and I'm just doing the math in my head. I'm like, no, this is
not good. Yeah.
And then just like practically, I couldn't get out there anymore, because that's one of those things were like you set up and you want to be able to work for like a good 4 hours or 6 hours even, because you've got all that stuff out. You've got, one of those like crock pots with the hot acid in it going, and you want to do all that stuff in a swoop, right? And so I couldn't ever get that kind of free time all in one gap. But seed beading, you can do this and you can walk away from it having worked on it for like 2 minutes, which is literally my life. Come back, work on it for another 3 minutes, get called off, go do something else. You know the life. You totally relate.
I do. Yeah. I know all about that.
And I remember exactly what got me into it. And it was Art Beads Cafe, Cynthia. I was watching her stuff. And that's what got me started. I saw her do, and then I started taking classes. There was a store that used to be here in Seattle called Fusion Beads.
Oh, I loved Fusion.
I did too. Oh, my heart still hurts. I was like, no, come back.
I know. Well, they're kind of back, right? They just sell on Amazon.
Yeah, and their tutorials, they were really kind, and they kept those live on their website. So I think they're still there. I haven't looked recently, but much.
They really were a real treasure.
They were.
One of my
good friends and I went and took a class with who I later discovered is a published designer. Like, she was in the Beadwork magazines, and she taught a class there.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I did a book signing there and taught a class once.
Oh, you did? Gosh, I wish I'd have known you then. Gotten to come see you.
Years ago. I feel like that might have even been Show Your Colors, which was my older book. And but it was a lot of fun. I got to hang out with Katie and Lindsay, and I miss those gals.
Oh, so you know everybody. That's so cool.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say I know everybody, but I, because I did bead shows predominantly for the first decade, I was with Softlex at least, maybe more, maybe 15 years. You get to know a lot of people because you're on the road with all of them all the time. And I made some really fantastic friends. And I do miss that to a degree, but I don't miss traveling really, because it's just such a headache and it's so much work. Maybe it's now that I have kids, the idea of traveling especially seems lackluster because I know what it entails.
It is so much drama.
It is. It's so much when you're the mama and you're traveling with kids. It's just too much.
They want to go places, but it's like, oh, can I do it?
And then they're like, why don't you have my food? Why don't you have my water? Why don't you have this? Where's my teddy bear? I'm like, what? How are your kids doing this summer?
They're kind of bored. We did just take them on a trip down to my in-laws to play with their cousins, and they loved that. That was fun for them.
That's good. I just put my kids in like every kind of sports summer camp I could find. So I was like, I'm just going to wear them out.
That's brilliant. That's so brilliant. They need to be doing that.
So at the end of the day, they're like, I want to go to bed. I'm tired. And I'm like, good.
Right?
No, it's been really lovely. They've been doing all sorts of stuff like tennis and swimming and soccer camp and gymnastics camp. And so it's been good. They really enjoyed it, especially because they homeschooled in the spring. And I think we're going to homeschool in the fall. It's nice for them to get out with other kids in a, outdoor space that's safe and just really have a good time. Well, let's see that clasp, Danielle.
Okay, yeah. So I only had one of the 3 ones, and that was this. Tracy sent me a sample of these guys, and I loved it. And so this was the only one I had. I need to order some more from you guys, but I've got 2 one. And so I made a 2 version so I could show, a 2
Cool.
version. But it works with either. So you can do, either way. It's the same process, same steps.
Sweet. And you can find these clasps right on the Softlex Company website. They are in the probably in the clasps section, but we may have a magnetic clasp section too. I'm not quite sure.
I was just checking right before I came up here, and I noticed that you do have them under clasps, and you have all the colors in both the 3 and the 2.
Yes.
So that's super handy.
I love that temple clasp design. I just think it's so pretty. And you can use the ultimate paint on those too. If you want to personalize it to match your bracelet, you could totally do that.
Can you paint these? Oh my God. Yeah, of course. Wow.
You can use the ultimate paint on any metal or wood. Not
oh
glass.
My gosh, I'm going to get distracted now thinking about
Maybe
that.
glass if you can seal it, but when you just put it right on the glass, it doesn't adhere permanently like it does to metal or wood.
Oh, that's so neat.
Mm-hmm. So all the tiara cast, any vintage, any of that can be painted.
Oh, wow. Okay, now I'm going to have to try that. I have some of those paints. One of them I got in one of the kits that you guys did.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we put one in there. We put like opalite, I think, was the color. That was fun.
Yeah, that's the one.
Exciting kit.
Beautiful. I decided to get a little closer. And so what I did when I stitched these on, first of all, don't worry that it's slanted because it's going to match up over on the other side. And I put one side on first and left it clasped and then brought the other side around and did that one so that I would get the position right. So I wouldn't put it backwards or something because it is, you have to get it lined up, I guess, so that there's a top and a bottom in the right spot. There's a design on both sides, but like, I just want to make sure
the magnets have to match up.
Yeah. And I just didn't trust myself to get that right. So I did it this way. And
Nice.
This is just like I left off right where, like what we were just doing. I was just stitching along. And now I would normally I would pick up another bead, right? And go through the next up bead and start heading back. Well, that bead's going to be this prong here. The first one. And I just pulled that up. And then just go through here. And so there's one end attached. And of course, if this was the 3, you would just do this 3 times instead of 2, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm going to just go through here. Oops.
If somebody was really concerned about the clasp being diagonal instead of straight, do you think there's any way to add a bead to that top section to make it straight? A more straight?
I think you could. Yeah, I think that would work great. I was, when I was working on it earlier on the bigger one, I thought about maybe doing some kind of tapering down. Mm-hmm. But I didn't have a matching smaller size bead in that color. Mm-hmm. And because the beading wire is so strong and pretty, I didn't care that it showed.
Right. Yeah, I don't mind it, but I know for some, having something be straight is really important to them. So I was
and I admit it looks a little funny
at the top.
So true, yeah. And I think when I was looking at it earlier, I wasn't sure, but then I don't know, it became kind of a feature for me. Mm-hmm. It stays in plain, it's flat, and
it matches the pattern of the beadwork, so it makes it feel natural.
But definitely, because this is, so this one right here is only the second one I've actually made. This was the first one. So this is one of those things where there's room for improvement and growth, and every time I try it,
right,
another idea might emerge, and maybe I'll solve this.
Yeah.
But I still felt like it was good anyway. Like even if
I know. Yeah, no, I love it. I don't mind it at all.
But I bet there's a way. So I totally agree. Like there's got to be a way.
Mm-hmm. And so basically you start in the middle and you do one side and then you go back and you do the other side, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so go ahead.
And you did that because it's such a long beading wire thread. It makes it a lot more manageable to start in the middle. Is
It
that right?
does. Yeah, and if that's confusing at all, like if you were doing a more elaborate pattern and you really just, you wanted to start at one end and work to the other side, that's also completely easy to do. And I did experiment with adding thread. There's two ways that worked for me. One was a little trickier than the other because I did run out of thread on this one. I didn't cut enough the first time. And what I did was I took a very fine crimp. So one of these.
A one by one.
And I got the micro and I joined it straight and then trimmed it as close as I could without it, so that it wouldn't catch. I had to help it. I had to help it get through the beads until my crimp disappeared into the last bead that it went through.
Oh, neat.
It did work. I would recommend doing it when you're almost completely out of that thread, right? Because you don't want to have to do that so many times because that pass was tricky. You got to wiggle it and get it around the wire that's in there already. And so the other way that worked is you can take a new strand and weave it in just like you would with thread. So change direction a couple times and keep pulling on it till your tail doesn't move anymore. And then just trim that tail and start going along. And then after you've got a few rows built, take your old working thread and work it up into the new rows that you just built. That's kind of how we do it in the bead weaving classes. And it worked with the very fine.
So interesting. I have, when I've done my African helix bead weaving design, I have, I'm not African helix, I'm sorry, Russian spiral. I have, I think they're similar, but maybe a little different. But at any rate, I've tied it. I'll just make a knot and add new thread and then kind of bury the knot inside of the beads. So that is an option too. You do have to be careful with the very fine wire when you're knotting it and tugging on it. It is more delicate. I usually use the 014 for that design, and it's a little sturdier.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't try knotting, and that also would work. I believe it would work.
One of the big features of our wire is that it can be knotted and not lose any strength where it's knotted. And so that is one of the really lovely things about working with soft flex. Whereas some wires out there, it will kink where it's knotted and then it becomes a weak point, and that will then snap and break.
Yeah, you don't want that to happen. Your jewelry.
No. No. Let's see what's going on with that clasp. How's it going? Are you just weaving back in now?
Yeah, what I did is after adding it, the first time I was exiting from this bead here, I turned and went through the adjacent, wove back down, came out here, went back through that all again just to reinforce it. And now I'm over here about to just go to town weaving it in, and then I'm going to trim it.
Perfect. Are you guys, is your mind blown as much as mine that you can do peyote stitch with soft touch beading wire? You can, no, we're not using Stretch Magic. We're using Soft Touch 010 Very Fine is what we're using to string this. She did use Stretch Magic on the end of her design so that she didn't have to put a clasp on it. And she's still road testing that. So
and
that hasn't been finalized yet.
You can see it's on the black very fine throughout here. And then just this one spot, the join. I joined it with the clear because I didn't have another one of the clasps. So I was just seeing, like, you can see how it pulls.
Yeah. It's awesome.
It's working so far, but I can't claim victory yet. I just have to see what.
Yeah, Stretch Magic is wonderful for what it is. We carry Stretch Magic in our shop. It is by far our preferred stretch product, but it isn't the kind of product that lasts forever. So if you are looking for your design to like really last the test of time, I think the clasp method is probably a better way to go.
The good news is that for this bracelet, before I did any of that, I took the rest of the very fine and I wove it in just like I'm doing now with this one. I wove it in on both sides and trimmed it. And then I did the funky thing with the clear.
So it's really strong.
It's strong. And if and when this breaks, I can try options B, C, D. I can try other things. I can weave in a new strand of this. And I ordered more of these clasps that are coming, and I can see like get that to work, you know?
Yeah. So smart. You're so smart, Danielle.
Oh, I don't know. I think I just try a bunch of stuff. And this is my
well, that's what we all do, but you're really good at showing us what you try. And you're like almost like a little scientist in the way that you test things out and see what works and doesn't work. And it's very good.
I like that. It makes me happy. We can be bead scientists. Let's say we're bead engineers. Somebody said that the other day. I'm copying someone. Said
I love that. Maria, she says, I'm interested in using the soft flicks on a loom. Hey, Thomas, will you grab the link to the Mirix Looms video from last Customer Appreciation Week and just dump it into the comments for Maria? And then she can take a look at that after we're all done. Let's see. Mary Kay says, I only have medium soft flicks on hand and tried it, but it does not work well. I'll have to get some very fine. Yeah, the medium is a little too heavy for bead weaving like this. You can do some bead weaving, but this would be a little too much on that thick diameter. And Becky says she loves your bracelet. It's a great color combo.
Thank you.
Valerie agrees. Such a wonderful concept. Wired peyote. Who would have thought? Danielle.
Valerie.
Donna says she's shocked, just like me. You'll have to go back and watch it. You can replay it anytime, Donna, to see the whole video. Yeah, it is so interesting to learn, that there are still new things. I still have not done with this wire.
Hey, if I've surprised you, that's like impresses me because all of
this is twice now. You've surprised me. I'm going to put you on the calendar again because I'm waiting for the next surprise.
Oh no, I gotta go.
Now you've built up something you have to do on the regular.
Oh yeah, I gotta come up with something else now. I'm like, oh okay. But I love the challenge.
This is so fun. Here, let me show you guys how mine's turning out.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, you got so much done.
I know, it's going super fast.
That's really cute.
I definitely want to do a rainbow one. That's kind of in my future, I think. Now that I have the idea down, I can go back and kind of play around with it.
I love that.
And maybe I'll show that in an Instagram reel at some point. But yeah, these big seed beads are pretty fun. I imagine there are some other seed bead weaving patterns that we haven't even thought to try yet. That would work well with these bigger seed beads. They are a little more forgiving for the wire to fit between. I'd also be curious, Danielle, how small of a seed bead you could get to and still get like a decent looking design,
I agree. The thinking I'm having right now is, so having tried the 6, I'm thinking because of the way that it slanted, it was I had to pay attention to what my up bead was. It wasn't as obvious as it was with the cylinder bead. The cylinder bead is keeping things visible, right? It's keeping some structure there. When I started working with the round, It upped the challenge level a little bit to keep track of what I was doing and where I was in the patterns and stuff. So my thinking is, what about a size 10 Delica or a size 8 Delica?
Oh, I have so many Delicas.
Do you have some of those?
I have the smaller ones, though. I have really small ones. I don't know if I have many of the bigger.
I'll send you some. We have them. We carry both size 10 and size 8. Now, my favorite for bead weaving is size 10, which is weird. Most people prefer size 11 Delica, but I'm an oddball. I think that the size 10 Delica is like the Goldilocks of beads. It is my hands down favorite bead to work with, I would have to say.
Sure.
I love beads, so that's saying a lot. But size 8, though, I'm feeling size 8 Delica. It's going to be.
What are some of your other favorite seed bead weaving patterns? Like, do you do brick stitch? Would you be able to do this? Would you be able to do brick stitch with this, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think so, because first you just do a ladder row, and then you would go under your thread bridge with it, and that would work. I can't think of a reason why the usual tricks wouldn't work. And then the other one I'm not sure about, but herringbone stitch. I like herringbone. My thread always shows on the side. There's another way you can do like a turn and stuff, but I don't like to do the turn because it warps the edges. So I always just let my thread show, and I pick a pretty colored thread. But wire would look good too. And so that was another thing that popped in my mind when you mentioned other stitches. I was like, oh yeah, I should try that.
Well, let's get you on the calendar, and we'll test out some more bead weaving stitches and see what works. You know,
we're gonna have like a whole series.
We're gonna have to write a book next. I'm telling you.
Ooh, count me in. That's on my bucket list of dreams.
Seed Bead Revolution, number 2.
I was so blown away by that book. That book was just
thank you. You're so sweet. Yeah, thank you for doing a review on our book too. That really meant a lot to us, and that helps revitalize the post for Kristen and I on Amazon. It just helps it to get seen a little bit more, and you added a picture and everything. So thank you for doing that. It did not go unnoticed.
I loved it. It was fun.
It's a really sweet book. It's like really definitely a love letter to Soft Flex, but also just a nice material thing that Kristen and I have together within our friendship and our long time working together, you know, like something you can really like look at and know we did that. And it was hard at times, but we worked together so well. We're really, really fortunate to have each other as coworkers.
I admire that. I mean, it can be really challenging to work on something creative as a team.
It can be. I think I've gone too far. How much should I have left at the end? I feel like I a little too much.
Well, the answer is kind of the same as it would be with any kind of those bead weaving things, where as much as you feel comfortable using to weave in.
How much did you leave?
I left 15 inches.
Oh, gosh.
But you could probably get away with like 10, but you'd just be working with a little edge, right?
Yeah. I need to back up a little bit here and get myself some wire.
Or if you want to add thread, I can show that really quick.
Yeah, why don't you show us how you did it?
It's kind of the same thing I've just been sitting here doing with this one, but I have this spare thread that I just cut off, the other one. And here's the one we were working on earlier. So let's say like I wanted to make this my ending. And this is where I ran out of working thread, but I need to keep going, which actually I am running out. So it's perfect. I didn't cut a full length because it's hard with the camera. So you just pick a place, any place, bring your beading wire in, leave a tail that's enough that, you know, it's not going to pull through when you do some twisting around. And then just choose, you know, it doesn't really matter which direction. You can, in peyote stitch, you can go left or right into the bead above. They kind of stack that way. My bead's coming out behind the work there, but. So I lost my tail there. So I lost my tail. I'm going to keep going.
Okay.
Whatever. And coming up. Once you turn once, the tail won't disappear as easily. Okay, so there's one. And this is something that folks that have seen, like a lot of my classes have seen me do a lot of times with thread. And it's basically, it's literally the same thing that I always do for that. One trick pony.
Never.
And so that tail's still moving. It does take more weaving in, like, you know, because it's strong.
Mm-hmm.
It keeps moving longer than it would if it was like a plasticized thread or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just keep going. It's going to be a little tricky to get through these, but it keeps wanting to switch sides on me.
You're doing great, as my friend Andrew would say.
I like Andrew has some good sayings. They have stuck with me, like the one you shared with me about.
Are they about poop? Because usually,
we're talking about Andrew Thornton or
yes. Usually, most conversations come down to poop for Andrew and I.
Well, I have two sons, so this wouldn't be something that's, you know, too far out of the.
It's not like a
foreign for me. I might feel right at home. Nothing surprises me.
Oh gosh, seriously.
I think it's worked. Okay, so yeah, I got this working. So my old working thread was this one, right? So it's just hanging out. I leave that in place, and I weave it up into my new rows later. Here's my new thread that we added. This was the tail. I just did a bunch of spinning around, right? I'm going to pull on it now and see if my tail moves. And it's not. So I can trim that. Get that off. And now I can just keep going with my new thread. And it's good to go. Which means you can make one of these super long if you wanted to. Or one that like wraps around more than once. Yeah, so that's pretty much adding thread right there. You know, you would just make a bunch more rows, and then you would take this old thread and weave it up into the new rows. And that's all you'd have to do.
Awesome. Thanks for showing that. I think that's really important. Okay, well, this was so much fun. And again, you guys, you can get all sorts of different colors and make different patterns. You know, we just did some really straight lines today, but as you saw in Danielle's work, she has lots of different patterns like this one, which is just stunning, that you can also test out and try. So, and this, I'm using the bigger seed bead, I believe, right?
Yeah, so all the ones I sent you, and they're the same ones I'm using here, are the 4.5 millimeter rolla. There are other sizes, just to give you an example. I brought up a few here. So there is a size up from that. That's a 6 something, and then there's a 7. So
which just in seed bead language means that it's actually a little smaller, right?
Oh, actually, so yes, that's true with these kind of seed beads. So like 60, 80, 11. The smaller the number, the bigger the bead is getting. But the rolla are different. The rolla are actually calling out the millimeters.
Oh, okay. That's good to know.
So these are the 4.5 millimeter. These are the ones we've been working with today.
Okay.
And they're the ones that are in the tubes.
And are these check glass seed beads? Where are these from?
Preciosa.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Oh, yeah. They say check glass seed beads in bright orange, Sarah. I had a feeling. I probably read it and it went in my head, but then I didn't keep it together. Yeah. What about these containers? Where did those come from?
Oh, they're ours too. They're
Awesome.
I'll
So
find
those
out where
come
these
from
are.
John Bead. And John Bead you can order from if you are a wholesale customer, but they do not sell retail, right, Danielle?
Sort of. They have 2 outlets.
Mm.
So there's an outlet in Buffalo, New York, and an outlet in Toronto.
And those are more like a bead store.
They're a retail bead store. Yeah, you can go in,
Yeah.
and if you are wholesale, you can shop that way too. But it's I don't know, if I ever go into the outlet, it's going to be bad for me. I'm going to need like a U-Haul. So
Totally.
there's a sign that says Danielle keep out. I'm sure there needs to be a sign.
Yeah.
It's a good deal.
Totally. Yeah. So the way it works is you're more than likely going to find these seed beads at bead stores because that's where they're distributing them. Or if you're wholesale, you can contact them and set up wholesale designer or wholesale store account with them, and then you should be able to order from them directly. And they're just a great company. I used to go up there for all sorts of events and fashion shows, and they're always up to something, very creative. They love to inspire. And of course, that's probably why they have this beautiful beater on staff to inspire you on a regular basis. You can also find Danielle doing classes at Michael's with John Bead Beads on a regular basis. What class are you teaching this week?
This week I'm teaching a Wanderlust stacker, which is like a little easy seed beaded on a card little
Cute.
stacker with charms and tassels.
Super very cute. Perfect. And Thomas just added that link so you can check it out and learn a little bit more about Danielle that way. Also, I highly suggest you follow Danielle on Instagram. She has a fantastic Instagram page, lots of really beautiful pictures, and that'll give you an idea of what she's up to on a day-to-day, week-by-week basis. Vanessa wants to know what store has a large selection of John Beads. That's an online store. Art Beads has some John Bead beads, right?
Yeah, they carry a lot of our Miyuki. They carry our charms and our chain and lots of other stuff that I'm probably forgetting to mention. They're a great source. Shipwreck Beads.
And then Michael's also has a selection.
Yep, Michael's has it. They're at Joann's. And then we mentioned Bead FX. Bead FX has them.
Yeah, and for online stores, I'd probably look at artbeads.com and see what they have, and you can pick up Softflex from them as well. They've been a loyal supporter of Softflex for many years too. I would say for the Soft Touch 010, make sure you get the brand Soft Touch for the 0.010 Very Fine. There are other brands out there in that diameter, and they aren't going to behave the same way. Our wire is very flexible and very strong, and it really is a proprietary recipe that makes it so wonderful to work with on a project like this. So make sure you get the Soft Touch brand, whether you're buying it from us at softflexcompany.com or any of those other retailers that we listed today. You want to make sure you get the right wire for the right project, or you won't get the same outcome that we had today. All right, Danielle, thank you for coming. Will you come visit again and bring us another seed bead weaving project, please?
Sure, it sounds fun.
I'm excited to maybe do something a little different next time. Maybe we'll try brick stitch, or like you said, herringbone would be really fun. So I got to get you on my calendar. Don't let me forget.
Will do.
All right. Sounds good. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we close out today?
No, I can't think of anything, but I just had fun. And I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Last but not least, we have a live sale going on. It is pinned at the top of the Softlex Company Facebook page and in our group. It's in the featured section. It's 2 parts, 250 beading items from co-owner Mike Sherman's private collection. Lots of very cool, unique things in the sale this week. It's open through Thursday at midnight, then it closes. Otherwise, I'll see you on Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern with the Great Bead Extravaganza crew, and we will be showing you all of the 14 fun projects, maybe even more. Some people do more than one project that you can make with us over this coming weekend. So you need to put in your grocery order. You need to do your laundry now. You need to clean your house, whatever it is you normally do on the weekend, do it this week. So all weekend long, you can just hang out and bead with all of us and learn a lot of new jewelry making tips and tricks, and maybe even meet some new suppliers that you haven't met before. If you want to do that, make sure you go join the Great Bead Extravaganza Facebook group pronto. And that will be where you can find everything that is going on this weekend. All right. Bye, Danielle. Thank you so much. I am so blown away. I can't wait to finish my bracelet.
I can't wait to see it.
I'll post pictures, and I'm sure I'll get pictures from Danielle as well that we can post on the Softlex Instagram page. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.